but to remind us all of what's at stake. I'll just pause for us to see through that video. Oh, all right, thank you very much for your patience. I think that's all from the video. What you have just seen could have been prevented by ensuring that safety protocols are properly adhered to. So, what lessons can we take from this? And that will take me back to the safety moment for today. One is to discuss the key hazards that we may have on site when we have suspended load. You may have equipment failure, either the crane or forklift fails during the movement of maybe valves using it to move casing pipes and generators. So the equipment may fail. You can also have swinging of loads in windy or uneven terrain, especially in the swamp operations. You can also have drop objects from height during the lifting, and we lifting to an elevated platform or module. Personnel can also be struck or caught by in between moving loads and static structures. Another thing is poor communication between riggers and crane operators, particularly in noisy environments. What are the things we can do to prevent fatality or any incidents? So we have some control measures. Never position yourself under a suspended load. You don't also want to guide the load by placing your hand on it for any reason. Okay, so you want to stay away from the load area. Keep the place cordoned off so that people do not encroach the area and they can remain at a distance. It's also very important that you plan and prepare for any lifting task. A permit to work should be properly raised. You should consider all the risk and then put control measures in place. So you also want to verify that the load is less than the load you are carrying is less than that of what the machine is rated for. All right. So ensure that there are no loose items. Check through your tag lines to ensure that you have it adequate to avoid manual handling. Okay. Another thing we should take note of is maintaining radio hand signal communication during this operation. So several past incidents have involved loads falling from rig cranes due to inadequate slinging or poor ground stability. So it's also very important that you always reassess lifting plans alongside weather condition. To close this, in our line of work, a suspended load is not just something to trivialize. It's potential for fatality waiting to happen if we are complacent. So safety is everyone's responsibility. You want to stay alert, speak out, use the stop work authority if you have found something unsafe. Thank you very much for listening. I'll stand by for questions and comments.
Thank you very much, Femi, for that very succinct safety moment. Like you said, it is something for our knowledge and also for our environment, so that the calamity that befell that young man will not happen to anyone who has seen this video. The next thing to do is to introduce the executives from this very wonderful Benin chapter, where all of this is coming from. The coordinator of the chapter, Mr. Edward Oza, a very pragmatic young man that has taken the Benin chapter from great heights to greater heights. It will interest you to know that for the first time in the history of this technical meeting, we are watching this from 3 different viewing centers, one in NEPL, one in EdServe, and one in Univen. That's practically down to efforts of Edward, who has taken this with the whole of his heart and abilities. So I would like to introduce him specially this morning, Mr. Edward Oza. I would like to see people clap on in the room and also online. Let's see the applause. Assisting him, we have the Deputy Chapter Coordinator in person of Ubuchiko Gramba. Mr. Izundu Ipo is the General Secretary, while Danlamid Bawa functions as the Financial Secretary. We have the Public Relations Officer, Mr. Steven Saku, while the Assistant General Secretary in Nemesis Udo. Yes, we have the YP's chapter coordinator, Darlington Omoroa, also very pragmatic and instrumental to what we do here. We have Joel Edebai as the editor-in-chief, while Ekpe Ukam serves as the advisory council member. Together, these executives have made NAPI Benin the signature of all eyes. It will also be very apt at this time to introduce with very great appreciation the presence of the president of NAPI, Mr. John Bosco Uche F. NAPI. He's here on the call. We thank you very much, President, for having your time shared with us this morning. Also on the call is the Vice President, Egi Basoye F. NAPI. We thank you very much for being here. The President-elect, Mrs. Olajumoke Cecilia Ajayi F. NAPI. We also recognize your presence with thanks. Thank you very much for being with us. This morning, it's going to be quite engaging because the caliber of people that are here, you can just imagine the outcome of this presentation at the end of the day. So it's very good to have you and every other person that is on the call that we have not mentioned. We appreciate your presence. The chairman of today's technical session, Dr. Tony Ofuma, FNAPE, is unavoidably absent, but we recognize his contributions. And this morning, he will be represented by Dr. Wilson Osong, FNAPE, who is going to stand in as the chairman. And at this time, I would like to invite him for the chairman's opening speech. So Dr. Wilson Osong, standing in for Dr. Tony Ofuma, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I guess I can be heard over there. Confirm that, please.
Can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, it's my singular honor and privilege to stand in for Dr. Antonio Ofuma, FNAPI, FNMGS, who is unavoidably absent. When he called me last night that I should stand in for him, I had no choice than to oblige him, because it's a service to NAPI, and the service to NAPI is a priority for him and also for myself and our team. I think this is yet another session for us to open our minds to learning in one of our knowledge sharing series of NAPI. NAPI is one of the foremost professional bodies that have been piloting the policies and operations in the oil and gas industry. And today we will be hearing from a seasoned speaker, Mr. Cornelius Animba, on the topic, the impact of big data technologies on Geoscience Workspace. This topic is actually apt. Hence, you can see the number of participants as I check now is about 160 on the call. I believe many more will join, because this topic is something that is quite operational right now for us to be able to manage our data and see how we can apply this technology, to improve on all our operations. I think I just want to encourage us to sit back and listen attentively, take good notes, and you have the opportunity of asking questions. And I believe you get answers from Cornel to be able to help enable us to apply this technology for optimal production. Thank you very much, and sit back and enjoy this session as we call on the speaker and hand over to the moderator to do the remaining part of it, while I come back later on to do the rundown. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wilson. The prompt is well appreciated, and everyone in the room is poised to listen now to the technical presentation. The technical presentation this morning is to be delivered by a seasoned geoscience expert. He has worked as a senior IT professional and a geodata management specialist for over 20 years in the oil and energy industry. His experience is vast when it comes to geodata management and Geoscience application support. He is a certified system administrator and holds a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronic engineering, as well a master's degree in business administration. Having worked locally and internationally for different companies, including Geophysical Consultants and Sahara Energy, he also was part of Halliburton's application support consultants on site at MPDC between 2006 and 2009. He served as the digital operations consultant for Halliburton in Sonago, which is in Angola, and also in Petrochi, which is in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, at different times. Currently, he is the service team's lead and senior digital solutions consultant. He's also the iCloud solutions advisor for Landmark Halliburton, Nigeria. With a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Cornelius. So, Mr. Cornell, we await you to share your screen while we remind ourselves of the ground rules. Please, if you're not speaking, mute your mic. Make sure your camera is turned off. And all questions that you have, please type them in the chat section. They should come with a brief introduction that speaks to your name and affiliation to NAPE so that we can address it appropriately. So please, let's start with the ground rules, and hopefully in the next 30 minutes, we have been put through something really enlightening from Mr. Cornell and him. Thank you very much. Mr. Cornell, please take. Mr. Cornell, we still await your start. You can hear us, please confirm that you can hear us.
Hello, are we still on, please? Because I don't seem to be hearing anybody. Or is it from my own end?
Yes, we are on. I think the presenter is finding it a bit difficult to
He's muted already.
Yes, we need to unmute and speak. That's what we're waiting for. So while we await, we'll also start to share the screen from our side and just ask that he continues the presentation if you can hear us.
Okay, good.
Okay, can anybody hear me, please?
Yes, Cornel, we can hear you very loud and clear. So
I'm so sorry. It was just a glitch on my side. The screen was waiting for my input and was hiding somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry about that.
So it's well that you sort that out easily. So you're welcome anyways. Please take off.
Okay. So if you can hear me, I'm glad about that. And I want to thank you for the privilege to be able to speak with you on the impact of big data technologies on Geoscience Workspace. Okay. The usual disclaimer. So these are the things we're going to go through in this meeting. We're going to look at our own perspective of big data and geoscience disciplines, and then we're going to take it to how come big data? What's all about this big data? No, so we link it to Industry 4.0. Then we look at the enablers and pipelines of big data in the geoscience workspace. And then we'll look at the trends and use cases, challenges. And we also look at what we can do as individuals and as an organization to adapt to big data technologies. So it's not very difficult to understand big data because from the word big, you know it's something big, really. And then we also try to understand what our geoscience workspace looks like. So let's look at big data the way we would like to define it for the regular person. First of all, it's large, it's complex, and is difficult to manage using traditional data processing tools and methods. Okay, and then another norm of big data is that they usually come from different sources like social media, like the web, like mobile phones, emails, and even as we talk, as we are as long as we are using a digital medium for this meeting, we are also contributing to big data. And for every word you type in WhatsApp, for everything you do in Facebook, you're already contributing to big data. So what's the nature of big data? Well, some people introduce big data in terms of V's. So some say 3 V's, 5 V's, 7 V's, 9 V's. But let's look at it as the kind of data that comes big and has variety, has veracity, and you need to visualize it, and it has that high level of variability and velocity, talking about the rate at which that data is generated. But more importantly, the whole aim of big data is to derive value from it. So you must get value from it, insights, and that insight will drive your decision making. And that's one thing you will get from big data. Okay, so in terms of geoscience workspace, we are talking about the various disciplines in geoscience and the tools available to them for the purpose of analyzing, visualizing, and interpreting geoscience data. Okay, so it may include both physical and virtual equipments, both physical and virtual infrastructure. We are looking at your software and platforms that get involved in the course that you use in the course of your work. Okay, and the entire essence of your workspace is to provide you with the tools and resources you need to effectively study and understand the Earth, its processes, and derive value from it and add value to your organization. Okay, so we cannot talk about big data without talking about what we call Industry 4.0. I'm sure this is not the first time you are coming across the term Industry 4.0, but this is a time when we have smart technologies. These smart technologies could include edge devices, could include Internet of Things, the cloud, and a lot of other array of items which on their own generate data, monitor its own self, and monitor its own environment. They are addressable with their own IP addresses, and it has not always been like this. We arrived here. No, we found ourselves in this kind of technology space in our own time. And this is not the end. We are also getting ready for Industry 5.0, which will come very, very soon. So what this does is that massive amount of data gets generated, and this is not data for the banks alone. This is not for the other aspect, financial industry. This is not for the commercial industry alone. No, but for the EMP, no, there's also big data being generated. In a very short time, we are going to look at the sources of those data, even more closely. But for now, we can see that there's a lot of role big data plays across the EMP value chain. For instance, in exploration, you can get enhancement of reservoir models with seismic and geological data analysis. So in drilling, you see a lot of optimization, time reduction, and improvement in real-time monitoring. We on our own part, we have stuff like real-time well engineering that with that kind of solution, you can monitor you are drilling in real time. So you'll be able to, and not just that you monitor what you are doing, you'll be able to detect abnormalities early enough in order to avoid them. In terms of production, you have a lot of real-time reservoir insights. You'll be able to say, okay, if I make this prediction, it's not just about the probability. You'll be near exact in your forecast. So it will be as high as 95%, 99% correct forecast. Okay, so taking it to other areas of the EMP value chain, you have maintenance that gets a lot from big data, because with such technology, you can predict failures, schedule maintenance, and extend asset life. Decision making is, of course, one of the big things we get from big data, because it enables you to make that decision on time and spot issues on time before it becomes a big issue. We also have costs and waste reduction. Of course, after an initial investment, you'll be able to see that in the long run, it reduces costs. Then you have that sustainability in terms of environmental risks and promote responsibility in terms of resource use. Okay, so in the later part of this presentation, we are going to go through some of the case studies that has been added by Halliburton using big data and the machine learning and data sciences. Okay, but we're going to look at what other role has big data played in the EMP value chain. We've talked about optimization, and we cannot overemphasize that. For exploration and drilling, for instance, for production, supply chain management, reservoir management, HSC, energy consumption, and wear recovery, for instance, market analysis and forecasting, cybersecurity. And these are very important facets of our daily operations when big data has been contributing to the E&P value chain in all these facets, and can also contribute to us these same things if well employed in our own operations. Okay, so in the next few slides, we're going to look at the enablers of big data in the Geoscience workspace. What are those things that make it possible for us to have big data in our own time? Of course, I'm sure that many of you are aware of those things by your own selves, but we just mentioned them here again, just as reminders for those who already know, and as a source of knowledge for those who don't. We can see that this is the time we not only shoot seismic the traditional way, there are so many other ways you can acquire your seismic, for instance, using satellites and a lot of other, employing so many other sensors and using a lot of weather stations. GIS databases are growing astronomically, and remote sensing. Okay, so you generate stuff like raw data, satellite imagery, and a lot of GPS data, seismic readings, and climate records. So with the kind of data you generate, you cannot, most of the times, process this data using your traditional methods. And then we see what has happened technologically in the data storage. So we have the data storage dynamics. So, and 50 years ago, we were not talking about data lakes, cloud storage, and data warehouses, but now we are talking about them, and even more seriously. Why? Because this is a time that we should be able to account for our data and account for it very much properly. Okay, so we should be able to know who to authorize towards our data. We should be able to know who to give the right. We should be able to know where our data is stored, and we should be able to access that data when we need it with proper authorization. So, and that is what you get with these improvements in big data. Many of you will remember what it used to be in terms of data storage. And this slide reminds you of where we started from. I don't know whether some of the younger people may not know that what we call diskettes. No, but you may have met the CDs, regular USBs, and now there's hardly anybody who doesn't have something to do with the cloud. Okay, so this has been the evolution of storage devices. And you will see that with this evolution, where we were years ago, Industry 4.0 came and there was this transition to new business models. Okay, so not for me. We have like this big data analytics news.com. I asked them how much data do people generate. Has people been generating over the years? They said, okay, this is the statistics, and we're talking of zettabytes of data from 12.5 in 2014 to estimated 181 zettabytes of data in this year, 2025. And if you are thinking of what zettabytes are, well, this is a triangle showing you the data sizes. We are still working with gigabytes and terabytes, and zettabytes are still far off. You have the exabytes, you have the yottabytes, and this is the scale, enormous scale of data being generated per year, for instance. And where do this data get stored? So the dynamics of this data storage has enabled big data to be manageable. We can now apply it to almost every work process and in the E&P. Okay, so there has also been improvements in data analytics, and there has also been automation, okay, which has in AI and ML, real-time sensor analytics, and a lot of other technological improvements, which has enabled big data to come and stay in the EMP processes. Okay, and then we also have new initiatives like the OSDU, of course. I think it's a good thing that we take time to go into this website, for instance, and check out what is going on, what the world is planning in terms of standardization and openness when it comes to data. So there's also this demand for interdisciplinary collaboration when it comes to the way we do work. It is not possible for us to continue to work in silos. And because we need to collaborate, we need to also share a common data space. We need to work as a team. Okay, so all these things demand a lot of data and a lot of insights. So we have policy and funding more available now than before. So you could see companies saying, okay, let's try this, let's go ahead with this. Google, Amazon, Azure, all of them did that and they saw the benefits. Okay, and currently we have people getting insights and knowledge. People are first of all interested in, oh, what is big data, what is machine learning, what is AI, and they get those knowledge and they apply it on geoscience work processes and they see the benefits. Okay, so we have a lot of talent transformation going on. And so with data processing and data analytics, just to add to what we have seen before, we describe this as the pipelines, so things that keep generating the data we use as three in the geoscience workspace. So you have before it wasn't possible. I don't know whether anybody can affirm that maybe after the presentation. But before now, people start interpretation on papers like I had, okay? And then you have workstations that you have to log into your time. You have to queue to use, interpret. But now there's this demand for automation. So you can have automated fault picking, automated horizon interpretation, and that helps you to quickly make decisions. And you do that especially when you go for data prying or you want to quickly buy an asset. You can sit down and in a matter of 2 hours, you can make a decision on whether that asset is viable or not. Okay. So I will not forget to mention machine learning, the kind of models you can get from it in terms of predictive modeling and pattern recognition, and the real-time analytics, and the feedback these systems give back to the tunnel to contribute to continuous monitoring in order to refine the accuracy of future results. So all of them have been contributing to big data in geoscience. So I've mentioned OSDU, which is demanding that companies come together and open up on the kind of data we have. What do you have? What can I get from you? This is what you can get from me. Can we maintain a certain standard? Can we find a way to make these applications talk to each other? So that's what OSD is doing, and they want to be able to integrate the upstream real time, as the standard and support end-to-end services in the energy industry. Okay. So what do you think will continue to happen in terms of big data in the EMP industry? That's what the trends. You will talk of predictive maintenance, AI-driven exploration, real-time data analytics, advanced geospatial analytics, cloud first and edge computing adoption, sustainability, and EAG data integration. So usually this come as lessons, as presentations, as seminars, and gradually you will see that one company picks it up, another follows, and if you are not prepared, you could be left behind. So, and that's why we are presenting this so that people will be prepared for the future. Okay. So I will just take a little time to give you a few examples in Halliburton. On my right are the companies that we have worked for. Then next to it are the values that they derived from it. And then this is what was done: deep learning with on seismic inversion, machine learning driven 3D reservoir property modeling, machine learning driven fault interpretation, assisted lithology interpretation. Okay, so these are the companies that were done, that were the clients, and these are the values they derived. Most of them is about optimization and time reduction. Okay, and with wonderful time reductions, of course, we know that that time translates to money. So if I can reduce something that happens in 3 weeks and make it happen in 3 days, then of course I have given you back a lot of money. So, and that's why we say weeks to hours here. Okay, so this is about drilling, this is about reservoir modeling and reservoir and production, and the same goes. So these are done for different people from Middle East to North America to South America. And what gains do we get? 10 times faster than normal conventional modeling approach for sweet spot identification. And in this particular case, for rig schedule, a lot of optimization when it comes to plan time. You minimize the number of days it takes to deploy your rig, and then you also have a lot of other optimization benefits you get from all this. Okay, so I'm not going to show assisted digital interpret. I've mentioned it before. Then you also have this solution that integrate data without, so, and then display the data for you on the map. You'll be able to see which data we are using, and then you'll be able to say, call up the data. You'll be able to leave a track record of when you called it up. You can say, this is what I'm using, and that's what we call the enterprise search. It doesn't duplicate your data, but it just calls it up. So there's a lot of things going on now in the industry, and we should be getting ourselves ready for it. Okay. So we do have gaps and barriers to adoption of big data. Of course, if you look at these other slides I showed before, you find out that these are mainly South African, North American, European, and Middle Eastern countries. So why do we not have many African countries in those examples? Okay, so we had a survey conducted by Catapult, is an independent survey organization, and this is what they said: that 40% of the people, companies, find it difficult to hire data scientists. Okay, they also identified that there are always like 4 or fewer data scientists available to each organization, and they also discovered that data science with master's degree level is just like 50%. And it was only in the last 5 years that a lot of teams were able to get formed using data science, including data science and machine learning and big data teams just formed a few years ago. So we do have gaps. And they also found out that a lot of companies are interested in forecasting. 95% of the companies, most of their projects are based on forecast and all that. Okay, that's not from us. This is from Catapult survey. So you can check it out in this link down there. Okay, so you can now ask yourself, what are the barriers to the adoption of big data in the oil and gas industry? What are those barriers? No, one is the continued use of legacy systems. I don't know who remembers this type of computers in those days, okay, and this type of printer, but these are what we call legacy systems, ancient and outdated equipment. You cannot be using that and be able to adopt big data. Okay, another issue is data quality and standardization, which some companies do not pay attention to. If you have a company with data quality and good standards, then it is easier to get to the next level in applying big data to their environment. But if you have bad data, like, of course, you've had this adage, garbage in, garbage out. So it will just be, you will find it difficult to adopt big data. We also have data volume and velocity. that is difficult to manage. So you have some people with big data, they've not been able to apply anything to it. They just leave it there. This kind of data is what we also call dark data in the industry, data that does not contribute to knowledge. So we should employ those data and make them contribute to knowledge. We also have cybersecurity risks. Some people are like, okay, I cannot open this up because I'm afraid of attack. Okay, but if you cannot open up, you remain where you are. But the issue is that you can also employ cybersecurity experts to help you safeguard your network space. Okay, so we do have other barriers like what we call cultural barriers. No, this is resistance to change. For instance, people believe in doing it the same way it has always been done. Okay, so you have people with they don't want this data-driven mindsets. You have people, some departments working in silos, and outrightly, some people will tell you, I don't want your solution, I don't want your technology, I don't want AI or machine learning anything because I fear to lose my job. Okay, we don't have environmental barriers, of course. Talking about high cost of computing, um, regulatory uncertainty. Of course, in Nigeria, we need to make new regulations as technologies evolve. We need to be able to say, okay, now we can have our data in the cloud. It's permitted by law. Okay, we need to be distinct about it. Or you have data funds like to fund big data projects. Okay, and then you have issues with power supply. In this particular case, Nigeria is struggling with just a few megawatts of electricity, whereas our counterparts are already, exporting electricity. We need to overcome all this. Okay, so the next question you can ask yourself is, as a geoscientist, how should I prepare for this data adoption? Okay, so we'll give you a few things you can do. You can learn from, yes, they do offer some free courses, the allison.com, udacity.com. You can be part of smart teams, like you hear that this is happening somewhere, join yourself to them, evolve new dynamics of workflows, try new things, and then employ new solutions, resources, technologies in current operations. What else can you do? Okay, explore open technologies like OSDU. Just go to their website and find out what is going on. After all, it's still about geoscience. So you'll be increasing your knowledge by reading about them. And who knows, you could be the person championing those standard adoption in the organization tomorrow. You can also think of adopting cloud solutions. Of course, we have done well here as in country. A lot of us have adopted cloud solutions, and some others have not. But it's something you can start getting used to because these things have come to stay. Explore other solutions and employ continuous. Okay. So you can visit these websites, fled.training, w3school.com, learn digital with google.com, and then learn about some of these big data technologies. If you can pick 2 or 3 like Python, Spark, employ some of them and use them well, even as a geoscientist, you have started preparing the ground. And tomorrow, if somebody needs such a person with this knowledge in the team, it could be you. So that's what you can do as individuals. Okay. So explore OSDU, like I said, but as an organization, we should continue to try our best to understand machine learning and data science and identify problems that need them. We find out where they can be applied. Agreed, they cannot be applied in everything, but there are areas that they can be of help. So, and then you need to prioritize those areas as business needs, understand the talent gaps, and continue to train our employees as an industry. Okay, so I thank you for what NAPE is doing. You keep doing this, and people are getting and learning and taking up knowledge every month and every quarter. So you need to hire experts to start, not to continue to stay, but at least to pass on the knowledge to others and build synergy integration teams. By this, we mean people that have the knowledge on the subject area and are able to keep it. You need to plan for the present and future when you are making your plans, especially for plans on storage. You need to have those things in mind and then have a balanced work environment. So we need to also see whether we can influence a legal and environmental framework that will support big data technologies. So that is it from me, and I want to thank you for your time and thank you for listening. Yeah. I can answer your questions now.
Thank you very much, Cornel, for that wonderful presentation on the impact of big data, the science business. And we can all agree with you this morning that data is everything, and it's important for us to manage it so that we can get value for it. Before we go for the recap to the chairman of this special occasion today, while the presentation is ongoing, we have some dignitaries, the NAPE, that have honored us with their presence, and I want to quickly recognize them before we progress. We have Mr. Alex Tucker, FNAPE, former NAPE president. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Victor Obijapo, FNAPE, so member of the Advisory Council of NAPE, and Dr. Chris Jackson, which is the NAPE General Secretary, and Associate Professor of Geology, Petrobore Gladys from the University of Benin. Thank you all for joining us. I want to call on the chairman of this special occasion today, Dr. Wilson Uson, for the recap.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Cornel, for taking us through this very exciting topic on big data technology. In fact, I was really amazed by the way you just took this whole thing seamlessly, making it sound very easy and acceptable to all. Once again, we appreciate you to have taken us through this entire process. And I can assure you, we have learned a lot. You know, at some point in time, we were about 160, but right now we are about 180 on this score. That to tell you how very important this topic is. Mr. Cornell took us through the objective of this his talk, you know, to include understanding how big data is transforming Geoscience's workspace, and for us to also explore the benefits and applications and challenges in applying big data technology. And he also outlined the objective as identifying future trends and implications in all this talk. In going through them, it began by defining what big data is and what a geoscience workspace is referred to, you know, as the physical space itself, and also the software and the platforms within the particular geoscience workspace. He spoke about the Industry 4.0, you know, and he recapped on it and hinted us on the introduction of the Industry 5.0 very soon, preparing our minds, you know, that as we are trying to grapple with the Industry 4.0 in a short while, Industry 5.0 will soon be unleashed for us to operate in the industry effectively. He also discussed extensively on the enablers and the pipelines of big data in the geoscience workspace. He outlined them all. He also outlined the usage of big data and data science in the oil and gas industry, you know, to include exploration and drilling, optimization, production optimization, supply chain management, HSE compliance, reservoir management, cybersecurity, etc. He enumerated the big data trends in the exploration and production industry. He also discussed different case studies of value creation in exploration, in drilling, in reservoir and production, carried out by Halliburton, where he worked, in South America, in North America, in Europe, Asia, and also in the Middle East, where he brought out case studies of his success rates in the application of big data technology for them to optimize their own production. In as much as he was making a case for the advantages and the effectiveness of big data technology, he also gave us the gaps and barriers, to adoption of big data technology, to include technical barriers, cultural barriers, and environmental barriers. All this he discussed effectively. And to round up, he encouraged geoscientists to prepare themselves, to adopt big data technology by being a part of smart teams, to also adopt cloud solutions and explore green energy solutions. Finally, he advised that geoscientists to be relevant and not being afraid that they'll lose their job, but to up their skills by exploring open technologies that are available in open sources. I want to believe that in all that he has discussed and told us today, we have learned a lot, and we are all willing to embrace this new technology to enable us to stay relevant and become much more productive in the oil and gas industry. Once again, Mr. Cornell, we are grateful that you could actually make our time to be a part of this technical meeting. And I know the Benin chapter has always been in the forefront of bringing up speakers and topical issues that are relevant to the oil and gas industry. Thank you once again, and relax and enjoy yourself while we go through the remaining part of the Q&A.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman of this occasion, for the high-level summary of the presentation. So we want to give this, use this section for the Q&A to respond to some of the chats, the questions on the chat. So Cornel, you should stand by. I have 2 questions for you from students, actually. One of them said that I want to know more about petroleum geology. Maybe at the course of your answering, maybe you can tell him more. And also, I want to read the second question. He says that, how can I develop myself as a geoscientist and to be employed as a data scientist in the oil and gas industry? So let me allow you to respond to these 2 first, then I'll read the other questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's not just about me answering the questions. There are also some experts here who can help respond to some of the questions. So if somebody says, how can I become a petroleum geologist? Is what I know that some other people can also respond to you, but it's about knowledge and exposure. Okay, so if you are first of all a geologist, or you're already a petroleum engineer, and then it's about marrying the two. It's about like, okay, I have this discipline, I have this other discipline, I have this knowledge. So you may end up trying to acquire knowledge that relates to petroleum, even as you are driving forward in your geoscience discipline. So it is by exposure, and you can ask in the industry, just like you're asking now. And I want to urge anybody who has a better answer to this to please contact this fellow, and then let him know or her know how he may become a better petroleum geologist. The second question is on can you remind me the second question? I think it's on
The second question is that is Okay, can a geoscience graduate be employed as a data scientist in the oil and gas
Of
industry?
course, yes, of course. A data scientist can be employed as a data scientist in the oil and fourth. This presentation is mainly for people like you who want to be data scientists. No, I didn't have enough time to take you on what could be your opportunities as a geoscience data scientist. You have that opportunity to earn a lot of dollars, and your horizon of work may not just be Nigeria. You may be contacted by people overseas to support their own operations. So if you're able to get that knowledge, it's it adds more to your value, much more to your value. That's what I would tell you. Okay, I think I'm also seeing some other questions here. It's one person here says, okay, they keep coming. I hope I can see it. One says, why are some potential applications of big data in geoscience that we haven't explored? What are some potential applications of big data in geoscience that we haven't explored yet? Of course, if you see those use cases, you find out that we have, the impact for us, for instance, based on our own, because these are based on corporate experiences. For us, most of our experiences have come from outside of Africa, but there may be others who have applied it, and I tell you why it looks like it has not been applied here, because most of our applications are developed abroad, but we have to get to that level where we begin to use applications developed in Nigeria, and then we can adapt it to Nigerian workspace and Nigerian oil and gas industry. So we're looking forward to those days when our own Nigerian built applications can compete with foreign applications. So my second question is, beyond taking online courses on websites like Coursera and Co, like we listed, how can an aspiring big data enthusiast do more to provide solution in the energy industry? Okay. What I can tell you now is that a lot of applications now come with what they call plugins. So of course, if you have used some of the popular applications in the industry, like Decision Space, like Petra, like not to mention so many of them, you find out that these applications have what we call plugins, and some of these plugins are addressing specifically machine learning in the oil and gas industry. So what they are now doing in the later versions of these applications is that they are opening them up so that if you have a machine learning application, or if you have a machine learning program, you can plug it in and then do your machine learning from there. For us in Halliburton, I do know that we have before now in our sales space application, it was just a bundle of application. But now they have an integration of AI and ML in their later versions of that application. I'm talking of what you call sales space. And then we also have those integrations in a lot of other applications. So it's not about getting so much and so far away from your application. But if you have that provision for that plugin, can you use it? Will you understand what it's talking about? Will you be able to apply it? And that is where we need you to bring in your professional know-how and marry it with machine learning. Okay. I do have another question here. What are some potential applications of big data? Okay, I think I've answered that. Can just graduates be employed as, I think I've answered that. How can educational institutions adapt their curricula to equip? Of course, that's what NAPE is for. Like the way NAPE is going, you see academic, everybody is inclusive, when it comes to NAPE programs. So you see the academia, you see the industry professionals and everybody interacting. And it is for the academia to go back and say, okay, guys, let us include something new in our curricula. I give kudos to the Center of Excellence in Uniben, for instance, they do contact us to take them on big data courses every year. So, and they map out like 2 or 3 or 4 days, and they give it a credit load of maybe 1 credit load or 2, and they say every student should undergo this course. And with that opportunity, we introduce them to big data science and machine learning. And of course, like if we explain big data well enough, you will find out that we cannot just handle big data unless you know how to handle them. Your traditional PC may not be able to do that, but you can borrow the powers of other PCs using MapReduce, Apache Spark, and other tools like that. Okay, so you start by exposing yourself to learning, and then you'll be able to apply those learning in your own discipline. I think that's how it should be able to take off. So COE Uniben is doing it, and I think others should also do the same.
Thank you, Cornel. You can understand that there is much interest in this presentation. So I want to read one question from the chat, then 2 people's hands is raised so that you can quickly listen to their question. So the last question I want to read from the chat says that what are the biggest challenges you have encountered in implementing big data system? So it's giving you, say, is it in tech, the people, the cost, or the infrastructure?
Okay, thank you very much. As individuals, as in my own line of duty, I've seen different challenges. I've also handled very big data sets. But one of the challenges we have is trying to do extraordinary with inferior equipment. What I mean is, you have data that's going to 500 terabytes, and then you are trying to put it on a laptop. So the first thing that will come to your mind is, have you looked at the challenge? Have you defined that problem first of all, so that you'll be able to apply knowledge in tackling it? So if I have 500 terabytes of data, I will automatically know that I should not try to interpret that on my laptop. I will need a very big storage. I will need a lot of cores. I will need to have computers connected as nodes, so they will form a very big node for me. I will employ the processing capacity of multiple computer nodes to be able to do that interpretation. So that is one of the challenges so I tell them, no, you can't do this. You need to have a server, not just a server with multiple nodes to be able to work on this. Okay, so as you go along, you see different other problems. I have also seen issues with network. The network is just failing, it's not properly done. Instead of using fiber optic cables, we are still trying to use not just inferior cat cables that will not take us anywhere. So if you employ the wrong technology, you will have issues, and that's what I see as a challenge.
Thank you, Cornel. So from audience that raised their hand, we have 2 to 3 people. So I want to take a bit more away in focus. Please come with your question. Unmute. Pogo, can you unmute and come with your question? Okay, Blessing Ogechukwu. Blessing Ogechukwu. Can you unmute Blessing? Olayemi Samuel.
Please, okay. Please, can you hear me?
I hear you, Samuel. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ogundelele Samuel. I'm a recent petroleum engineering graduate. So my question is this. As a petroleum engineering graduate, I have this strong interest in utilizing data analytics and machine learning usually for production optimization and reservoir management. But though I've been on Python for some times now, but my challenge is that I've not been able to access data that is related to exactly what I want to do as a data scientist, being a petroleum engineer. So like data like production data and reservoir data, PVT data to be precise. So the challenge there is I think most of these data are let me say encrypted majorly for oil and gas companies. So my question is, please, do you have any suggestion on how I can get this access to this kind of data that will help me build my portfolios and improve my learning?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gundele. Interestingly, I've come across this question like 3 times now. So you are not the only one having that challenge. But I do remember that there was a particular time I had a presentation for NAPE in Abuja some years back. And in that meeting, we had like a kind of technical meeting like this. And that question was raised. Interestingly, we had people from NUPRC in that meeting, and they said you could approach them if you have issue with that kind of data. You could just walk into their office and let them know that you need data for your project. Right here, I have forgotten the name of that man. I may not be able to give you his name right away, but NUPRC said they have, and they can ask companies to release such data, especially if they know you are going to use it for learning purposes. So your point of call will be to walk to NUPRC. They will be able to give you info. If you know anybody there, if you want us to find out who can help, we can do that later. But in that meeting, they said they do have the right to help you source for that data, and they have done it for many.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I will appreciate if I can actually get a contact person there, because I'm currently in Port Harcourt, and getting to Abuja for now might be a bit difficult for me.
No, they don't have an office in Port Harcourt. NUP is in I think Azikiwe Road or somewhere there in PH. You don't have to go to Abuja. Just yes.
Okay, sir. I'll try and do that.
They have an office in Port Harcourt, in Warri, in Lagos here, in Abuja as well. So you can walk to any of their offices and let them know that this is what you need. But of course, I know the challenge, of course, but you need to go with a contact. So I also urge that if anybody has a contact that can help the young man, please give to him. It will be beneficial to him. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I've seen that question, and this. Yes, sir.
So tell him to call the Benin chapter coordinator. I will link him up.
Okay, say you should call the Benin chapter.
Okay.
Contact us. He will link you up.
Okay.
And then I think that's one of the benefits of attending this kind of technical presentations.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Please, can I actually? Is it the email that I received that I should send to get the contact?
The flyer you saw there, you see my number on the flyer. Any inquiries?
Okay, sir. Okay. Please, what's the name, sir? So that I can just pick it out.
My name is Edward Oza.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, everyone, and For our participants whose hands were raised because of time, we want to skip over this Q&A. However, some of those ones that have already been typed on the chat, Cornel will be able to respond to them. And these presentations and the recordings will be shared in the platform for members who are active members of NAPE. You can be able to access it and listen to it and also enrich your understanding on this topic. So we want to go to the next on the agenda, which is announcements. So for the announcements, we understood that the president-elect is here with us. So that is Mrs. Olajumoke Ajayi Efnape. If she is with us, I want to crave her indulgence so that I can take responsibility on behalf. Yes, the publicity secretary of Benin chapter. So next. So for the announcement that we have the next technical meeting coming up for next Tuesday for Port Harcourt, which is a novel techniques for predicting false positive ABOs, a rock physics and seismic inversion-based approach applied to the Niger Delta. Very interesting topic for the geophysicists. So we want you to have a day with us next week, Tuesday, for another interesting learning. We have the 2025 NAPE research grants and aids. And this is to assist those people that are involved in research writing. And it's important for you to cash into this opportunity that is presented to you by NAPE so that you can have some assistance in writing your research. For inquiries, we have information below that you can contact to get more information on how you can go about getting this research grant from NAPE. We also have the mentoring cycles. This is for the early mid-career enhancement program, very important. That you're going to have people that will mentor you in this area of geosciences, put you through. For also inquiry, you can contact Monome Jonathan and also Lawrence Oswago, and you can put you through. The basic evaluation competition for the universities, very important too. And the registration is on, and we're going to close on the 16th of May. So it's important that the universities enroll so that they can participate in this competition. So we have our association election that is coming up this year. So nomination is open now. If you are interested, you can apply. So basically, we have 3 positions that are open for elections: the position of the president-elect, the vice president, and the UAP. So interested members of this association, active members actually, so you can apply and submit your nomination. Our annual conference, which is the NAPE Annual International Conference and Exhibition for 2025, is coming up between 19th to 13th of November. The topic is revitalizing the Nigeria petroleum exploration and production strategies for energy security and sustainable development. Interesting topic. So we are all inviting you to prepare and look forward to seeing you during the conference. So there is also a call for abstract in connection to the conference, and the deadlines stated below. So belonging to an association comes with a responsibility or an obligation. So if you want to be an active member and in NAPE to have a voice, you have to pay your dues. For students, just 2,000 naira, while for active members, it's 12. An associate member is the same 12,000, and corporate membership is 50,000. That is 50 years golden jubilee for us. Congratulations. Thank you. So, for the presentation of Slack, the coordinator, Edward Oza.
Yeah, can I come in here briefly? Sorry, I don't know whether the P is still around. I don't know whether the P want to talk to us concerning what on the communication. But in absence of that, we the other activities are gone, but I don't want to say much. I want the president of NAPE to close the meeting first, so I will continue other activities at the Benin Center. We have about 3 Benin centers in Benin here. We have one at NEPA, another one at NSAV, third one, the newest one is at Animba. Animba is doing very great. From yesterday till now, I did not sleep. They have been calling me, they want to join. So we decided to create a Benin Center there. But I will allow the president of NAPE to close the meetings. The president, I'm not the president of NAPE. I'm just a coordinator, it's more fun. I allow the president of NAPE to close the meeting, so I will carry on other activities at the Benin Center. We have over 300 people. But why I'm sitting now, because I've been shuttling from NEPA to NSAP, we have over 40 people where I'm sitting now. So I think, Joshua, I think we need to bring in the president of NAPE, John Bosco, to come on.
Right. Thank you very much, Edward Oza, our Benin chapter coordinator. Please, can someone confirm you can hear me clearly? I hope.
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. And good morning, ladies and good afternoon already. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I joined this meeting 11 o'clock on the dot, and I stayed till this moment. Actually, I'm on leave this week, so I had enough time to be at this session. So I really, to be honest, enjoyed every single moment of this technical business meeting that we had today. And why I'm quite excited is that, again, Cornel Animba has been a key resource person for NAPE at various platforms. I mean, you heard him mention doing a presentation at Abuja, and he's been here at the Benin chapter event also many times, and also at the national level at our training for the industry, but also the academia. So it cannot be better than what we've just listened today. Actually, in the world we live in today, big data, the machine learning, artificial intelligence are things that we're pushing for. And this is just putting it into perspective and putting the practical nature of what we are going to be. In fact, if you listen to me all the time, I would say the future is now. So the big data is not about the future, is that future is actually now. And that's what the Benin chapter has really done for us today. So I want to say a big thank you to the Benin chapter coordinator and your entire executive committee members for, again, providing this platform to let everyone that have joined this session to learn. I also learned quite a lot on this. And I'm also proud that I'm the president of NAPE that provides this platform of knowledge sharing, because as we say, in NAPE, we are the knowledge base of the industry. And our ideas continue to find oil and gas. And you cannot find oil and gas if you don't really make the maximum use of the data sets that we have in the Niger Delta and the frontier basins. So I'm quite excited that we're able to get this done today through the Benin chapter. I'm also quite excited, again, listening to the chapter coordinator, that we're also expanding our horizons, not just at the NEPL, but also NSAF, and then also UNIBEN. And for me, this also solidifies our move and drive to, again, bridge the gap between the industry and academia. This is just an example of what it takes to bridge the gap, where we have the industry folks, NSAF and the NEPL, but also the academia, UNIBEN. And we'll continue to do this as long as we continue to push the agenda of NAPE to greater heights. So I want to say thank you very much, every single one of you that joined this session. I'm sure you actually took a lot of note and learning. And just be rest assured that we'll continue to provide this platform because we are the biggest. I know somebody asked around what it takes to be a petroleum geology. Yes, indeed, you are in the right place because NAPE is the biggest association of petroleum geoscience and related disciplines, so over 15,000 members. So you are in the right place. And on that note, I want to say good afternoon, everybody, once again, and then I hand back to you, the chapter coordinator, and well done.
Thank you, Mr. President. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the meeting has come to a close. However, plaque presentation and other activities will continue in the viewing center for some of us that are on site. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the President. Vice President, thank you. The B, thank you very much. I saw you. Our chairman, I don't know, maybe you need to nominate somebody to take your plaque because we're going down now to the B centers. Mr. Cornell, you know, you are your usual house. We are looking for somebody who will pick your plaque. Then when we get to Lagos and the water, what is the other activity? We have some anti-7 here. We have enough food.
Yeah, you have Sharon with you there, so she can handle it for me.
Okay, okay, Sharon. So thank you very much, everyone. We're closing up here, but going back to the physical side to continue the activity for the day. But we're closing, but later by 1 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.